10 Most Protected African Presidents in 2023. In the complex and often challenging political landscape of Africa, certain presidents have become synonymous with extensive security measures and robust protection for their positions of power. These leaders have implemented stringent security protocols to safeguard their presidencies, often due to historical events, security threats, or the need to maintain stability in their respective countries. From fortified presidential palaces to well-trained security forces, these presidents demonstrate a commitment to safeguarding their positions and ensuring their personal safety. In this video, we will explore the lives and leadership of some of the most protected presidents in Africa, delving into the security measures they have implemented and the contexts that have influenced their heightened security concerns. So without any further delay, these are the top 10 most protected presidents in Africa. 10. Alassane Ouattara, President of Ivory Coast. Alassane Ouattara is widely acknowledged to be the most heavily guarded president in Africa, and he even gets a mention on the world list. This is understandably so because he arrived to power on the back of a conflict, and there are still many who insist that he usurped the position with the help of France. He arrives international summits in a black Mercedes class, which is armored and fitted with 2 engines. He never travels alone. His motorcade can reach up to 20 vehicles, including buses, vans, Humvees, and Range Rovers. His bodyguards number 12. And they not only keep him safe, they also keep onlookers at a good distance. 9. King Mohammed VI of Morocco. The king is mostly driven in a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, which is the standard for world leaders as it is armored, and comes fitted with 2 engines, as well as a catch supplies of weapons for self-defense. The vehicle never travels alone. He is driven in a motorcade that includes an armored Range Rover and Humvees bringing up the rear. This can be described as a small army. It has soldiers, weapons experts, communications experts, and a medical unit. 8. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of Nigeria. Bola Tinubu became President of Nigeria in May 2023. He inherited a robust security structure, the State Security Service, which is the elite force whose duty is to secure the president and his family, along with other top political office holders in the country. Of course, these structures have had to be beefed up in recent years. There was an attack on Eagles Square, endangering the life of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Furthermore, the country has been engaged in an ongoing insurgency that has seen multiple military installations attacked, including the presidential villa itself. As a result, the president is surrounded at all times by at least 12 black-suited men of the SSS, and they accompany his car and his person. The car itself is a Mercedes-Benz 600. It has 2 engines and thick armor to withstand gunfire and even bombs. His car is shielded by a motorcade of 8 vehicles, and depending on where he is going, he can even double his security detail. 7. Paul Biya, President of Cameroon. Paul Biya has been the President of Cameroon for more than 40 years. In a recent celebration in France to mark his longevity on the throne, Paul Biya was seen completely surrounded by hefty men. The protection was total, to the point that it became difficult for photographers just to get pictures of him. These same men almost completely surrounded his official vehicle as it approached the venue. The vehicle itself was an armored limousine, which makes it seem rather unnecessary that it should be so guarded. 6. Emmerson Mnangagwa, President of Zimbabwe. Emmerson Mnangagwa came to power through a coup, which explains why he has to be heavily guarded to prevent the same thing from happening to him. To be fair, the coup was widely popular, as it removed Robert Mugabe, who had stayed in power for 30 years. Nevertheless, he still has to be extra careful because some political opponents may favor force as an option. Emmerson Mnangagwa thwarts them by utilizing heavy security whenever he makes public appearances. His bodyguards number around 50, and they are all dressed in black suits, and carrying matching briefcases suspected to contain automatic firearms. These bodyguards completely surround him when he steps out of his vehicle, and the vehicle itself is a heavily armored Mercedes S-Class, which is the standard for world leaders. Emmerson Mnangagwa can be forgiven for his robust security. He survived a bomb incident in 2018. 5. Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, President of Egypt. Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is the President of Egypt. He is one of the most protected presidents in Africa, and understandably so because he took power in a coup in 2013. He removed the democratically elected president, suspended the constitution, and installed himself as head of a new government. In order for the same thing not to happen to him, he has to be well prepared. He is driven around in a black Mercedes-Benz S600 limo, and the vehicle is shielded within a motorcade of some 12 vehicles. He is surrounded by at least 10 bodyguards with special training. 4. William Ruto, President of Kenya. William Ruto has been President of Kenya since 2022. He inherited an impressive security detail from his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta, who was known to be one of the best secured presidents in Africa. William Ruto's motorcade is probably the most elaborate. 15 motorbikes traveling in a V-shaped formation, and 12 SUVs shielding the president's car at all sides. His car is an armored Toyota Land Cruiser, and he has similarly powerful vehicles in his motorcade. He is protected on all sides when in or out of the vehicle. 3. Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda. Paul Kagame has been president since 2000. He was previously a military leader. He headed the Rwandan Patriotic Front, which was part of the civil war in the 90s, and which brought an end to the genocide in 1994. He is driven around in an armored Range Rover Sentinel, and there are matching vehicles in his motorcade which can reach 12 vehicles. He has a small army always around him. They include bodyguards on foot that surround him, and when he is driving, there are motorcycles in front of his motorcade. 2. Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa. Cyril Ramaphosa is the President of South Africa, and as such, he is arguably the most important personality in Africa. His importance is anchored by the fact that South Africa is the most important economy, and also the most important political zone on the continent. The full extent of President Cyril Ramaphosa's security detail has only recently come to light. This was due to a well-reported international scandal that broke out in Poland, and which is suspected to have political undertones. The president's security detail was refused permission to unload 12 containers containing weapons. These weapons and other security gadgets are thought to be for the protection of the president. They also refused the group from coming out of their plane, and the men were said to number dozens. 10. Mamadi Doumbouya, President of Guinea. Mamadi Doumbouya is the President of Guinea. He has held the position since 2021. He is a military officer, and he rose to power on the back of a coup. No doubt, he is certainly wise in ensuring that he has adequate security so as not to suffer the same fate as his predecessor. He is protected by an elite squad of soldiers all dressed in combat outfit and openly brandishing their Russian-made rifles. These men are handpicked from the finest battalions of the Guinean army, and they surround him completely when he steps out of his vehicle. He is driven around in a black Humvee, and the motorcade is 10 vehicles long.